book, so thank you. My husband, Scotty, is right back there. He's giving me the signal that I need to talk into the mic more because it's a directional mic. Thank you, darling. So, all right, here we go. Are y'all ready?
We are ready.
Now listen, if I get emotional, which is possible, right? Talking about a very serious subject, I want you to say these words with me. Ready? Dilly dilly. If I get choked up, I want to hear dilly dilly because it'll immediately break me out of my choke-upness. Okay? All right, good. I'm Christy Vivian again. I am the president and owner of my little publishing company called Move Forward. Move Forward was developed because during 4 years of pure hell, I lost 8 individuals, my sister being one. And Anna had cancer, breast cancer. Oh yeah, that was that. And the only 2 words that helped me were 2 words I hear in sales. I'm in advertising sales. And they were move forward. Like if I were to put out a presentation and the client says, we would like to move forward with that proposal, and I would be like, yes. So those 2 words helped me move forward, and I started my company. All right, here we go. Who is KB? That's what people call me because nobody gets my last name right. They think Vivian's my first name, so I just go by KB. I'm a long-time Little Elm Lakewood Village resident. I actually live in Lakewood Village. We've been here 24 years.
Woo-hoo.
I'm an outdoor advertising vet. That's billboards, transit, cinema. That's called outdoor advertising. I've been in that for 30 years. I'm a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. I'm also a sister to Kimmy and an aunt to Minnie. I'm a breast cancer survivor. Anybody else? All right, yes. I'm an executor and a funeral event director, and that was not my choice. That is just because I could organize things like that. So I wrote so many during my time, just if you need tips, I'm your girl. I'm also been a musical director, producer of musicals up in Denton. I was also a member, or actually directed a group called Creative Spirits for Christ here in Little Elm many years ago. And also directed many live nativities over at Button. So that's my history there. But I never thought in a million years I'd put Arthur down on my list of accomplishments until now. So I want you to just absorb this quote. It jumped out to me a lot. You have to understand, I wrote this book for the public, right? So I know who's in the room now. But when you write a book like this, you don't know who's going to grab it and read it, right? So you have to kind of be general to where people actually want to read it. And the truth does not care if you believe it. This really stuck with me, and I want you to just kind of marinate on that a little bit as I do my talk. There may be some things that you don't agree with what I'm about to say, but this is my truth, and this was my sister, the Patriot's truth. Her name was Kelly Cannon. So why did I write the book? I had to. I had many heavenly data-dumps, like 3 a.m., get up, write. Okay? She needed a memorial. After her death, she was cremated, and her ashes were spread everywhere. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Also, I wanted to get the facts straight because there was a lot of rumors on both sides of the fence about her death, and I really wanted to investigate it and get it right and have it for posterity, for our children to read one day about what happened. And I wanted to out those trolls. I wanted to find my voice in this because I was a major victim of this. So was my entire family. I wanted and I needed to heal. I told you about my journey. So I needed that healing process, and journaling, writing helped. Here she is.
Yay.
Dilly.
You got me. All right. Let me introduce you to the star of the show. Kelly Jan Cannon, actually McCutcheon Cannon, was born June 6, 1959 in Palestine, Texas, an 8th generation Texan and a fiery, green-eyed Irish lass. She had many sides to her. Loving aunt, a die-hard Aggie. Any Aggies in the room? All right, you'll love this. She worked her way through college and graduated with a Bachelor of Environmental Design degree from Texas A&M class of 1982. She was extremely intelligent. Any Aggies beside you, that was part of my life. All right, moving on.
Oh, wow.
She was fearless, so very stubborn, very stubborn. When she dove into a subject or a project, it was feet first and all-consuming. Most notably, it was my sister who pushed to get all of the red light cameras in the state of Texas banned as they were discovered to be unconstitutional, of course, after she got a ticket herself. And you're welcome. So, and in 2014, she was awarded the Texas Conservative Leader Award presented to her by Senator Ted Cruz, who also wrote the foreword to the book. She was fearless fighter. She did things that most of us would never have had the time to do. Maybe not in this room, but the rest of us. I learned about her and her passions only after her death, and I'll explain that in a bit. But my sister Kimmy, the surviving sister, really summed it up. My sister was fearless, so much more than me.
Dilly.
She dared to walk the walk and talk the talk. She loved God and the state of Texas. She amazed me by the way she would jump into her passions. She stood for liberty and justice and would fight to the end for everyone's right to the freedoms of our Constitution.
Dilly.
Yes.
Woo woo.
All right, so she was one of you. She would have loved to have been here. And she is here, right?
Yes.
All right, so, but all the stories about individuals need to come back to the family dynamic. So here's the main players of the story. Kelly, Kimmy, my middle sister, 5 years older, and myself. Kelly she married a couple times, never had any kids. Kim has a daughter named Brooke, who you'll hear about a little bit later, and myself, I have 2 children, Nathan and Julia. This was our last vacation together in 2020, trying to relive childhood vacation to Wimberley in our youth with our grandmother. Looks like we all get along, right? Well, looks can be deceiving. We at times fought like cats and dogs. The McCutcheons. We may look like a loving family, but it was a front to get through life with a very demanding father and a mother who just tried to deal with dad. We all were loud and dysfunctional. In fact, we put the fun in dysfunctional. We also love to laugh. The book has a lot of humor in it as well. Just please know that it's not all sad, okay? So Kelly was just different. Kimmy and I, again, were 5 years apart. I never really knew my sister, not until our father died. Did the family really gel and treat each other like adults? We lived separate lives for the most part. Therefore, I was shocked to be named my sister's executor in October of 2021 and was stunned to realize that I would be sworn in only 3 months later. The photo is from our trip to Wimberley in the 70s. My sister Kelly has the hat on, and Kimmy right there, always a mother to me, holding my hand. Kimmy and I were tight, but Kelly and I never really got along. Sorry, it's just the truth. So let's take you back to the worst time. Oh my gosh, the lockdown. The lockdown was in March of 2020. We all lived through it. It was tough financially and emotionally for all of us. Many people were confined to live a life by themselves. Only 3 months after my father passed, my mother, in late stages of Alzheimer's, found herself alone and confined to her room based on a Fauci made-up mandate to keep 6 feet apart. And he admitted it was a mandate, made up. Let me share with you a few pages from the book. I read a couple of excerpts because I want you to kind of get the feel of the writing. Okay? Oh, great! I'm so glad there's light here. Woo! For Mother's Day, which is this a photo of May 2020, they set us out in our tents to visit our mother at her assisted living facility. Kelly met me there with arms wide open. Our embrace was her first human contact in months due to the lockdown. I will forever remember that moment in my mind. The visual of Kelly standing there with a huge smile of relief on her face, seeing me walk up, is now burned into my mind. We hugged like we had never hugged before as sisters. It was wonderful. Kelly and I were ushered into a checkpoint at the facility, told to sit down in a hot tent and wait outside. Wait for what seemed like hours for our mother to join for our visit. She came out dressed as best she could with a mask on. I could not see my mother's face. This really made me angry. Imagine having to put a mask on an Alzheimer's patient and them not understanding why. It was so cruel, but unavoidable. Not being able to recognize the barest resemblance of her faces as daughters, she, thank goodness, was able to recognize us enough to, what I call, pretend to know us. I was not allowed to touch her or hug her. My heart ached for my mother, and it still does. Again, the humor stood out. Kelly and I tried to tell her what was happening in the world. We told her there was a pandemic and then all the activities stopped and no one went to work, schools were closed, and everyone was at home waiting it out. We even told her that the sports teams had stopped playing. There was no baseball, there was no basketball, no football. And here came that sharp wit that Alzheimer's dementia could not keep at bay. She piped up loudly and said in an East Texas accent, "Well, I've been waiting for that for 60 years. Oh, love her. You see, my dad was a huge sports fan, and I'm sure she was relieved that she did not have to listen to the play-by-play in the background anymore. She just made us laugh, which was so much needed at the time. As the months rolled on, I would visit my mother by appointment only. They would drag her out, put her behind a plexiglass wall. We would be masked up on both sides and put our hands on the glass, pretending to touch one another. It reminded me of the 1976 movie, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble with John Travolta. If you remember that movie. It was just ridiculous, but again, unavoidable. Because of her hearing loss, we had to shout through the glass to communicate. It was like she was in prison. She was not only in the prison of Alzheimer's, but the prison that our own government put into place. All right. Get the tone of the book now?
Yeah.
All right. Whew. Shortly after the lockdown began, the vaccine was being developed and pushed hard. Kelly dove in, fact-checked, and determined that it was an experimental drug and there was no way she was going to take it. She was proud to be called a pureblood. She posted about it frequently on social media. This was her point of view and her right to speak her mind. Whew, the media was unrelenting with their platforms. This guy was the worst. The pressure was unbelievable. It was the largest mass public relations campaign of all time. It was only until I was told I would not be able to see my mother in the Alzheimer's facility until I was double vaxxed and showed my card. How far would this go? Would grocery stores be next? So I decided to go to Kroger and get the vaccine. Recognize the humor there? I volunteer as tribute for my family. I told no one. I rescheduled the appointment 3 times. I finally got the courage and went to Kroger and got it done. Afterwards, I sat in my car and cried. I thought I was going to die from it. Everyone was having to make a choice based on their own beliefs and truths. It all started to spiral out of control. Many employers started to mandate the vaccine. Kelly's employer was a governmental-based employer, so the pressure was really on. Oh, this one. Good news. My employer has granted my religious exemption request. No jabby for me, praise God.
Man.
But it was this post that began it all. I warned her, Kelly, you should not post about this. You don't know what can happen. Just keep it to yourself and be thankful that they gave you the exemption. Kelly was 62 and was working from home full time at this point. So what was the point anyway of getting the vax to be around coworkers when she worked at home? What she did not share with others was that Kelly had underlying health issues. She had type 2 diabetes, was overweight. She also smoked and vaped most of her life. She also had diverticulitis. But it was too late, and Kelly was hooked in. This was her truth, her stance, and she had every right to have it and express it. No one was going to give her mandates. That would never go over with my sister Kelly. This was Christmas 2021, just 1 month before her passing, our last group family photo. Less mom, of course. Kelly normally would stay the night with me. I live in Lakewood Village. Arlington's a 45-minute drive. But this time she goes, I'm going to go home. I'm not feeling well. We didn't really think much of it, but she tested positive with COVID just a few days later. So this next excerpt from the book I'm going to read is from Messaging. During this time, my pregnant daughter was living with us and was also unvaccinated. Remember that we really didn't know what this bug was going to do at the time, right? We didn't know. We didn't know how far it was going to go. So when Kelly got it, she was confined to her house with only DoorDash as a visitor. We felt helpless. We chose to use Facebook Messenger as a way to stay connected. December 31st, 2021, 8:28 a.m., Kelly. I woke up again to coughing and hacking. I'm exhausted. It feels like I may never see the end of this crap. I said, fever? She was, no. I go, O2? She was 94. I said, I don't like that number. Now, I didn't know much about medical, but I did not like that number. Kelly said, neither do I. Kimmy piped in. Keep doing the nebulizer and steroids, inhaler, and call your doctor for advice. We were grasping at straws at this point. She'd been sick since December 19th, roughly. Excuse me, I got a hair in my eye. Oh well. I said, Kelly, this was at 8:32 the same day, p.m. Kelly, health check-in, give me status. Kelly, please stats. 2 hours later. I called her. Kelly's not answering her phone. Work pipes in. I hope she's okay. I said, I just called her. She answered. She's doing okay. She's just very weak and tired. We are surrounded by people in our neighborhood who have it. January 1st, 7:48 a.m. Kelly. Y'all, I may need to check into the hospital. I'm not getting any better. I'm scared. Video chat. Everybody jumped in. Kimmy announced to the group, Kelly is going to the hospital. Her oxygen level is now in the 80s. She wants to drive, but I told her it's not safe. I'm giving her 30 minutes to gather her stuff, and we'll call back. Kimmy and I had a sidebar conversation where I shared my concern through a mask of humor, as we always did. I shared with Kimmy, hey, I'm a little concerned about Kelly not improving. We all hopped on a call with her with our demands. Kelly, if your O2 gets below 90, you must go to the ER. Her response was, if I go to the hospital, I won't get out. She called it quits and called 911. The ambulance came to pick her up, and her neighbor, Kayla, sent us a photo proof that she actually did it. And on to the hospital in Arlington, in case you're wondering, Arlington Memorial. She went New Year's Day, 2022. All right, after being, in my opinion, neglected at the end of a very long haul, this is a known anti-vaxxer, very, very loudly known in the city of Arlington. She ran for city council, so. She died just 10 days later after being in the hospital. When putting the presentation together, I tried to read some of this and I just couldn't get through it, so I'm sparing you the details. They are in the book. I'll ask Carol to come up and talk about the medical things afterwards so you can kind of get a vibe for how she died. Anyway, that'll happen, so. Within 24 hours, my sister makes national news. I'll never forget my sister Kimmy coming into the door. What the hell? We couldn't believe it. Look at those, look at those. Within 24 hours of her passing, she made national news. The media just could not pass the juicy headline that went along with their narrative. This is my favorite. This was Kelly Cannon, a pro-Trump Republican activist from Arlington, Texas. She promoted anti-vaccine activists and recently attended an anti-vaccine conference organized by a local Christian organization. A few weeks ago, she celebrated getting a religious exemption from her job's vaccine mandate, posting on Facebook, no jabby for me, praise God. She died of COVID just last night after 2 weeks gasping for air in the hospital. Get vaccinated, folks.
Wow.
But it was this little guy. This little emoji screamed out to me during the post about her on social media. Hundreds of these laughing faces were posted when I had asked that we pray for my sister when she was dying. If you would like to know the names of those individuals, they are on page 68 through 73.
Let's go. Let's go.
You're welcome. Now, I'm going to read something that came into the mail. The week after she died, we were cleaning up her home, getting it ready for sale, and I walked up to the mailbox and I got a letter in the mail and I opened it. It said, Dear Kelly, how do you feel about not getting that jabby now? Right now, you anti-vaccination nitwit. Okay, you proved your point. Now you're dead. Good riddance. If you really believe in God, you would thank him for creating the scientists who created the vaccines that will save lives of large numbers of persons worldwide. I'm sure your Republican know-nothings will mourn your passing. They are as dumb as you. Cordially, rest in peace. I go on to say in the book. We could not escape them. Even after death, some idiot from New Jersey decided he needed to type a letter, put it in the envelope, find Kelly's mailing address, put a stamp on the envelope, put it in the mail, knowing that only her family would be the ones to read it. What a piece of shit. I can have an applause for that last part.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, a little bit brighter tone, that's the worst of the presentation. On the other hand, beautiful memorials started to pour in from her friends about Kelly.
Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly.
That's my vote. By the way, I'm a Longhorn, so it's just like, and I hear they're actually playing this year for the first time in a long time, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be cool. All right, so, this one's hard. Woo! In April, only a few months after she died, I was raw during this. I attended an Aggie muster. The Texas Longhorn put on a maroon top and went to this sacred event. Kelly had requested in her will that I attend the muster in her honor, and because of that, I am forever changed. You Aggies know what family is. During the ceremony, everyone is asked to get into a large circle of candles. You stand on a piece of paper with a loved one's name on it. Then they announce the name, and you're supposed to say "here" when it's said. Well, when I said "here," I heard a little "here," and I was like, what? And come to find out, Kelly's roommate from college was in the audience.
Wow.
Wow.
She didn't even know Kelly had died and came to find me. And if that ain't a God thing, I don't know what is.
Amen.
So there was many of those types of things through the book, amazing things. But another Aggie moment, please don't pay me or send me, don't call the cops. Another Aggie moment was making sure Kelly's ashes were placed where she requested, but also where I knew that she loved. Here's an example of ensuring Kelly would always be with the Aggie family as the 12th man. Please don't call the cops. It was done out of love. Thank you for that dilly dilly. I appreciate it. All right, so as a surprise gift that I got my sister Kimmy and Kelly for Christmas before she died were tickets to see Jesus Christ Superstar here at Park. It was like our favorite musical growing up. For the surprise, I actually got Ted Neely to do a video cameo telling them that I got them tickets, right? Well, of course, Kelly passed. She loved the idea, but she passed, and we had to attend the concert and performance without her. We kept an empty chair for her in her honor. But during the writing of this book, one of the lines of the musicals kept coming out of me. It just, which was of course based on the events of the Bible, right? It kept coming in my head. It was another heavenly data dump I could not ignore. During the trial of Jesus, Pontius Pilate asked Jesus, "We both have truths. Are mine the same as yours?" This is my truth. Family
Dilly
is
dilly.
everything. And my sister would still be alive if it wasn't for some man-made bug in China called COVID-19. In conclusion, the book is a difficult sell just based on its cover. Many on the left will not even crack it. They just can't get past the word Unitarian. Kindle has also decided to censor some of the pages with a big black box. TikTok judged a simple video as going against their community guidelines. Here I posted on the left, the vivid color, a video just about Dr. Stephen Quay asking people who lost loved ones to honor their life by asking their Congress representative to investigate the COVID-19 bug. When I put the photo of the book beside the same video, it was banned. It wasn't able to be seen. I mean, it was just crazy. The video alone was fine. The video with the book can't post it. Kindle book sales dropped as I have been shadow banned because of the title. And forget about running ads, even on Amazon where it is sold. Your ad is suspended as it does not satisfy the ad policy requirements. But the book has won some awards and has had some fantastic reviews. I love this one. They're mainly all 5-star. This book earns a well-deserved 5 out of 5 stars for its courage in tackling controversial topics and its blend of heartache and humor. And that's absolutely right on. So, of course, I would love for you to buy a copy. Again, the QR code's there. I have some copies here. I'd be glad to autograph it. But more than that, I really want you to keep Kelly's story alive. This book is a time capsule of what we all went through. And I just hope that you share it with your family members and keep her story together. Thank you so much for your time. That's all.